Some athletes stay at the top of their game for what seems like forever. No matter how long they've been playing, how many new players come into the league, or even how much the game changes, these players seem to constantly adapt and thrive. I mean, look at LeBron. He's 39 years old, and he's putting up identical numbers to when he was in his mid-20s winning MVP trophies. Tom Brady, who recently retired, was one of the best quarterbacks in the league for his entire 22-year career. Serena Williams was winning major titles into her late 30s. So there's players in every sport that dominate until they call it quits. And obviously we can't talk about longevity in sports without talking about the ageless wonder himself, Jaromir Jagr. Jagr is a true hockey legend. Born in 1972, he started playing at a young age and quickly rose through the ranks. At just 13, he was playing with 17 and 18-year-olds, and by 15, he was on the U20 team. Over his 24-year career, he played for 9 different organizations, always showing that he could still compete at a high level. Even at 52, he's still playing for Kladno, the team he 100% owns, proving that his love for the game and his incredible talent have no expiration date. Another great hockey example would be none other than Mr. Hockey himself. Gordie Howe is the perfect example of sports longevity. Born in 1928, he began his pro hockey career in 1946 with the Red Wings and continued playing until 1980 with the Hartford Whalers. Howe was a force on the ice, known for his scoring, his toughness, and his adaptability. Playing until 52, an age when most athletes are long retired, he won 6 Hart Trophies and 4 Stanley Cups, remaining at the top of his game well into his 40s. He even played long enough to play alongside his sons, Mark and Marty. His ability to compete at such a high level for decades cements Gordie Howe as a true hockey legend in history. So where does Sidney Crosby come into this conversation? I mean, he's old, but he's not even close to Jagr, who retired from the NHL at 45, or Howe, who was 52. Crosby would have to play into the 2030s to come close to that. But what is amazing is the level that Crosby's playing at well into his late 30s. See, most players that have a decent NHL career hit their prime around 24 or 25 and start to decline around 32, and eventually call it quits shortly thereafter. But not only has Sid stayed in the league when most players retire, he's getting MVP votes and setting records. Crosby was the most hyped prospect in NHL history. If you're a great hockey player as a kid, you're usually playing 1 to 2 years above your age group. When Crosby was 13, he was playing with kids 3 or 4 years older than him, and he was still the best player on the ice by a mile. This led him to play in the QMJHL with the Rimouski Oceanic, where he put up 303 points in just 121 games. Crosby obviously went first overall in the 2005 draft to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he made an instant impact. He put up the 5th most points as a rookie of all time at 102 points, but lost the Calder Trophy to some guy named Alex Ovechkin, who was the 3rd most in rookie points of all time. The next season, Crosby became the youngest player to ever win the Art Ross Trophy, as he scored 120 points. And then shortly after, he became the youngest captain in NHL history at 19 years and 9 months old. He continued to dominate the NHL and became the youngest captain to win a Stanley Cup in 2009, when he was just 21 years and 10 months old. But this was also around the time where Crosby started to get injured. A lot. From the start of the 2010-2011 season to the end of the 2012-2013 season, Crosby played just 99 out of a possible 212 games, totaling 113 games missing. Still, through the constant injuries and missed times, Crosby kept up a 1.6 points per game average, which is a 132-point pace over an 82-game season. And what's even more insane is that Crosby's missed 205 games to injury over the course of his career, possibly missing out on multiple Art Ross trophies, multiple Hart trophies, and possibly another Stanley Cup and Conn Smythe. But even with all those missed opportunities, Crosby's trophy shelf is more than filled, including 3 Stanley Cups and 2 Conn Smythe trophies. But something that's even more impressive than all of that is how long he's been doing it. Crosby's going to be 37 at the start of his 20th NHL season, which is coming up this year, making him just one of 323 players who have played at that age. And out of those 323 players, few have been as consistent as Sid the Kid. Crosby is tied with none other than Wayne Gretzky for the most consecutive point-per-game seasons at 19 seasons. And if you're any good at math, That's as many seasons as Crosby's been in the league. Unless something crazy happens, Crosby will likely have his record-setting 20th straight point-per-game season next year, which is just ridiculous. And the season that he tied the record with is very impressive. At 36 years old, Crosby put up 94 points, tying the record for the most points at that age. He tied none other than Teemu Selanne, who put up 94 points in the 07 season, which, if you look, is the year that Selanne and the Ducks went on to win the Stanley Cup. So while Selanne had a Stanley Cup winning roster around him, Crosby had the barely 500 2024 Pittsburgh Penguins surrounding him. You tell me which one's more impressive. His play at 36 years old was so remarkable that he even got some votes for the Hart Trophy, while not even being near the top of the league in scoring, which speaks for itself. Sidney Crosby has been able to keep up with the changes in hockey by constantly evolving his game. When he first came into the league, he was known for his blazing speed, slick puck handling, and scoring ability, putting up some serious point totals right out of the gate. But as the game has sped up and Crosby has slowed down, he adapted by taking on more of a playmaking and defensive role. He's sharpened his faceoff game to the point that he hasn't had a faceoff percentage under 50% since 2017. He also added a physical edge to his game and became more defensively aware. Because of his longevity and how he's been so good for so long, Crosby, I believe, is easily a top 5 player of all time, and could even be higher if he hadn't missed so much time due to injury. But how much time does Crosby realistically have left? Well, one thing for sure is that he hasn't shown any serious signs of regression. Sure, he's not Sid the Kid anymore, putting up 110-point seasons, but putting up 94 points with the support that he had around him is truly incredible. He's not even playing the worst hockey of his career yet. Crosby's point-per-game average of 1.15 this year is far above his worst point-per-game season, which was 1.05 in the 2015-2016 season. And ironically, he ended up winning the Conn Smythe and the Stanley Cup that season. So I can easily see how Crosby can play deep into his 40s. His playstyle is one that works well with his age because it relies heavily on his hockey IQ and playmaking rather than his physicality and speed. And that playstyle adaptation is pretty comparable to Jaromir Jagr, who played until he was 45. Sure, he was flashy and fast when he was younger, but as he got older, he changed his playstyle to a more slow and controlled style, just as Sidney Crosby's doing right now. Some athletes just keep defying the odds and rewriting what it means to last in sports, and Crosby's the perfect example. He's tied with Wayne Gretzky for most point-per-game seasons, showing up year after year at the top of his game, and at almost 37, he's still redefining what it means to be a hockey superstar. Recent seasons have seen him maintaining an amazing point-per-game average, leading his team with determination and smarts on the ice. Even as his body changes, his hockey IQ and strategic brilliance keep him at the top of the league. Looking ahead, Crosby's legacy looks like it's only going to get bigger. Whether he plays into his 40s like Jagr or calls it quits sooner, Crosby's impact on hockey and beyond will be felt for a very long time.